Okay, so are we're good?
Yes.
I'll think. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and start our meeting. If we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilor General Stetson,
Here.
Mayor Kaczynski.
Here.
Councilor Luddy.
Here.
Councilor Payanessa.
Here.
Councilor Rosso. Councilor Uranaga.
Here.
Councilor Beach. There you have one.
Okay. Thanks. So we have, next up is our audience of citizens. Have anyone here and or out there in TV land?
Donna wants to.
We have Donna Bove will be up here in person. All right, come on up, Donna.
Donna Bove, 85 Steeple View Drive, Berlin. But I'm here as chairperson of Parks and Rec Commission. So back at the end of July, we sent a memo to the Ordinance Committee. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it was regarding the dog park leash law that you're considering, or lease ordinance. There's a couple of good recommendations in that memo, so I'd ask you to take a look. But I'm really asking if the ordinance committee can meet before the election and just take one action. And the action has to be, do not allow animals on athletic facilities. Currently, anybody can bring a dog or anything on an athletic facility unleashed. And we've had a number of complaints. The staff has had it, both Steve, not had it, but Steve Wood and Jen have received calls. And even in this last weekend, one of our commissioners happened to be at Sage Park. Someone had a big dog, let him loose on the soccer field. And we can't do anything about it because it's allowed. So we really need, just take that one action. I know the other discussion about the dog park and maybe look at Pistol Creek as an option or whatever. We have some recommendations in that memo as well. But it's our point number one. We've spent a lot of money on fields. We don't want them ruined or to be used by humans only. We need you to act on that, and we want you to do it before the election. Just get that piece done. That's all I'm asking. Okay?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Perfect sense.
No questions? That's good? Got it.
Done.
Okay. Thank you. Won't hear anything else. on the other subject, okay?
Oh, come on, Donna. Don't disappoint. Don't disappoint me. No, it's good.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Donna. Anyone else? Out, there's no one here, but anyone out in on audio visual there? Anyone there? Zoom? Going once, twice, 3 times. All right, hearing no one. Go ahead and close the audience of citizens. Go to the mayor's update very quickly. I just want to, a couple quick items. I think today it finally came out. There was a press release from the police commission announcing the new police chief. I think yesterday there were some problems, well, I guess worldwide problems with Facebook. So I think I got out there today, but I just wanted to read that to everyone in our council meeting, and I'm sure it'll be on the town website if it's not already today or tomorrow. The Berlin Police Commission announces new police chief. The Berlin Police Commission has selected Matthew McNally IV as our new police chief to replace Chief John Klett, who retired effective July 30th, 2021. Chief McNally, a former Marine, brings an extensive and diverse background in law enforcement to his new job. In the Danbury PD, he has worked extensively with youth programs and juvenile justice issues, and he's run the community affairs and the crime scene investigation units. He has worked as a patrolman, detective, sergeant, and lieutenant. As patrol division commander, he was responsible for leading 5 sergeants and 40 patrol officers. He holds a BS degree from Western Connecticut State University, Justice in Law, and a MS from the University of New Haven, Forensic Science, where he began his professional relationship with Dr. Henry Lee. He currently serves on the Board of Directors, trustee of the Connecticut Lodge of the Fraternal Order of Police. This is the same union representing the officers of the Berlin Police Department. Additionally, Chief McNally serves as an adjunct faculty member of both Western State University Criminal Justice and Goodwin College Homeland Security, Public Safety, and Contemporary Ethics. The Berlin Police Commission conducted a search to replace Chief Klett that included both internal 2 candidates and external 7 candidates. The commission interviewed an excellent and impressive field of candidates, narrowed that to the final 3, and then met with the finalists again. On September 24th, we selected Chief McNally to lead the Berlin Police Department. Chief McNally starts on November 1st, 2021. That's from Vice Chairman of the Berlin Police Commission, Steve Wilson. So I'm glad that finally is out there. Obviously, they had their meeting a week ago. I guess I've seen a few things out in the public that are just incorrect. Just for the record, the whole process as far as the selection process and the interview process was vetted through our town attorney, Jeff D'Onofrio, all along the way. If anyone had any questions, which some members did, they, I think, spoke to the town attorney about the questions, and that was resolved. So, you know, I think it was a good process. We had, you know, 9 candidates that we looked at, all very qualified, came down to 3, and, you know, we had Mr. McNally chosen. So it's, you know, not always fun to see things out there in the public that are completely incorrect as to how the process went. That's the, of course, under the process of under the purview of the police commission, as is in the charter. They followed the charter, they followed the rules for the meeting, and I think we have an excellent choice. I also, for the record, have heard no objection from the union on this choice. So I think it should be a good thing for the department. And again, all the candidates were well qualified. It was a tough process to make the selection, but they did their jobs and brought one forward. So that's where we stand on that. Secondly, the community center, just, you know, we still are obviously going forward with our advisory committee. I've heard some things about that. Obviously, we have worked hard these last few years to get that moving forward, and it has moved forward. I think it's probably moved closer to, you know, a referendum than it has in the last 30 years, as far as I know. And, you know, I've heard some people talk about funding from the state, grants and things like that. I mean, I tried for the last 3 years working with our former Speaker of the House to get grant money from the state of Connecticut, and we were not successful on that. The only thing that we came up with from the state was that obviously the $750,000 that we are using, we've used some of it already to draw the plans with the architect. And there's still some money left. Of course, that money has got certain strings attached. I think it's only, we can use it for some things in the, you know, the planning process. Obviously, it's not money that we could use for construction, but you know, that's how unfortunately the grant program is what it is. We never know what's available from the state. We don't know, you know, the way the state is going with the finances. We'll have to see down the road. Of course, we would apply for grants if once it gets passed by the voters. And of course, also to correct some things I see out there, you know, it's whether I want it or not, or whether the council wants it or not, or whether really anyone in town wants it or not, it's going to a referendum. The voters will speak on it. We hope to present, you know, a good plan for them. We're shooting for the spring. With the advisory committee is, to the council has got their work cut out for them, but they've got a great agenda, and they're all very enthusiastic to do the work and bring back some good recommendations to the council. And we can weed through that and hopefully get it to referendum. And that's what counts. What the voters want, we'll get it to them, and they will have their say. So I think everybody in town certainly myself, I'm sure all of us up here are been looking forward to a community senior center for years in Berlin. I don't think anyone's brought it this far. We're close to the referendum, 6, 8 months away. So hopefully we'll get it there and we'll get a vote on it and then we'll take it from there. So anything to add, Brendan or Mike, from the last meeting? When was your last advisory meeting?
A couple weeks ago, right, Brendan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only thing I can say is we're moving forward. We've scheduled meetings through February. On the next couple weeks, members have a chance to visit some other facilities that have been recently built or renovated. We're all going to take turns the best we can. And, our job is to advise the town council. We're not formed to advocate for or against the project. We're just going to gather information. It's a learning process. We're going to visit facilities, get some information. We're going to learn about the town's financial status and our standing. We're going to get all this information and, we could have scheduled some special meetings along the way. We could make some recommendations to the town council periodically, or we could wait till we feel our process is done and push it back to the town council and move the project forward. And I think we've got, 6 equal people and we're going to do our job and make sure we're informed. And I think, everybody wants to learn and do the right thing.
Great. Mike, anything to add to that?
Meetings are scheduled for the first Thursday of each month starting November.
Oh, nice.
And we're always constantly looking for input from the public on anything that they'd like to chime in. So anything is welcome, really. Like Brendan said, we're going to travel to other facilities to take a look. So we're looking for anything we can get to make sure that we get the best possible place for Berlin.
That's great.
Correct.
Yeah, no, you got a lot of work ahead of you, but you're all enthusiastic about it, and we certainly appreciate you all stepping up for that job, and look forward to getting it onward to the voters as soon as we can. So it's moving in the right direction. It's very positive, and we look forward to hopefully getting that started at some point in the near future. Okay, that's all I have as updates. Oh, the only thing, just before I forget, Roche, could we get Joe Bajorski here maybe next meeting for aren't we, wasn't November some type of deadline, or there was something to do with funding in November, right?
So we try to get him for this meeting.
Gotcha.
He's unavailable for this as well as the next one, so. we're
Can he
trying for
send
that
in a update?
November.
Maybe, can he send in some kind of update or?
I doubt it.
That's not
He's
encouraging.
he's made some progress. I don't want to speak for him. They've completed the application for the tax credit and
Oh, yeah, okay.
Department of Housing loan program. He needs to come in front of the council to get his option renewed. That's running out as well. So we're trying to get him for November. That's the best he could do.
Okay.
Jim Mahoney and I been trying to get him, but he's got another commitment.
Can he send someone else, like the deputy, or
I can ask him.
what that? He could prepare, whatever he might want to,
Yep.
just so because I remember that,
Yep.
I mean, the option is one thing, but I remember this was the funding time frame, right, that we were
Yep.
looking at, so we can just have an update. It's important issue, right? We all know that.
Absolutely,
We've been
yeah.
working on that for
Yep.
a while, and we were getting there. So yeah, if you could try, that'd be
Yep.
great, Roche. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. All right, so on to our meeting agenda, our consent agenda. So we have 5 topics, right? So if we got to take,
So all you have to
What
do
do we need to do?
when Brendan moves it is 1 through 4.
okay,
And then you can take up number 5 separately. It won't be in the group.
okay.
I'll make a motion to remove consent agenda number 5 and make that 1A. Regular agenda.
Okay, second on that? Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moved. All right, so on our consent agenda, except number 1, accept monetary donations totaling $5,500 for the Berlin Peck Memorial Library and deposit $5,500 into the trust fund used for the purchase of books and other materials for the library. Don't accept a donation of $5,160 and appropriate the funds to the diving equipment expenditure account for the police department. Accept the donations of $100 and appropriate the funds to the police canine program, police department. Accept the donation of $118 and appropriate the funds to the supplies expenditure account for the police department. That's 1 through 4 on a consent agenda. If everyone has reviewed it, if they have any questions or comments, if not, go ahead and take a motion.
Sure. I'll make a motion to accept the 4 items on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
thanks. Any other comments or questions on them? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right, so on to our regular meeting agenda. We'll take 1A. That's approve, approve waiving the police traffic control fees for Hungerford Nature Center 2021 Pumpkin Palooza in the approximate amount of $1,000. If there's no questions on that, we'll go ahead and take a,
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve waiving the police traffic control fees for the Hungerford Nature Center's 2021 Pumpkin Palooza in the approximate amount of $1,000.
second on that.
A second.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
And 1 abstention. Thank you. Okay, so moved. On to our regular agenda.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The first item on the agenda is the Water Control Department bid waiver for Crown Professional Water Services, for parts and labor for rebuilding Christian Lane potable water connections, and Mr. Ray Jarema is here to present the agenda item. Ray?
Good evening. I'm going to surprise you. I'm not going to ask for a pump today. So that's one item, but this is a critical area because we purchase water from New Britain. Roughly 50 to 60% of our supply comes from New Britain. And we had under a maintenance agreement, went in and had our pressure reducing valves checked. And the individual told us that the pressure reducing valves are in position of failure. So we, in a previous town council item, you approved 2 pressure reducing devices, which was about $15,000. The work was originally was about $5,000 to do the work. However, since then, we found out that the situation is more dire than we thought. That means that the pit itself has got a problem. It floods, the valves don't function. So now we have to do the additional work. Now, Con Professionals is the first time we've done this work, but they exclusively work for Aquarian. If you know Aquarian, they own over 70 companies in Connecticut, and they have over 450,000 customers, and they're also a subsidiary of Eversource. So we feel pretty confident they're going to do a good job.
Thanks, Ray. Any questions for Ray? Not, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, I move to waive the bidding requirements for Con Professional Water Services to rehabilitate the Christian Lane meter pit in the amount of $19,305, as this is in the best interest of the town.
Second on that.
Second.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, so moved.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, Ray. Agenda item number 2 is to waive the bidding process for Atlantic Turf and Golf fiscal year 2021. Steve Wood, you're on.
How's it going? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve.
So we partnered up with the Atlantic Turf and Golf a couple of years ago, trying to come up with a better fertilization, seeding, and overseeding program for all of our athletic fields throughout town. Throughout this time, grass seed due to COVID and fertilizers have gone through the roof. For a 50-pound bag of grass seed back in 2018, we paid probably like $50. And now for a run-of-the-mill average bag of grass seed, we're looking at like 116, 120. That's not getting into the specialized grass seed of bluegrass or fescue for our athletic fields. With Atlantic Turf and Golf comes with a person or a salesman who comes out and we evaluate all of our fields to make sure that we're putting down the best product available including all the B25 products that are available to go on all school grounds because they are organic.
So I guess we wish we were in the grass seed business, perhaps?
We definitely wish we were in the ryegrass business.
Of
Seeing it's tripled in price.
course, I'm sure I'm sure they're getting, someone's making money on the front end there too. Probably not them, but what is there, just a shortage? What do we think? Is that any
I
clue?
guess the fields in China have changed over from growing soybeans to ryegrass, and now the import costs are outrageous, and that's how they're making up for it.
Wow. Interesting.
It's
Okay.
actually cheaper to buy better grass seed now than it was 3 years ago.
Wow, it's interesting. Okay, any questions for Steve on this? Hearing none, we're gonna take a motion.
Okay, I move to waive the town's bidding procedure and approve issuing a purchase order in the amount not to exceed $20,000 in the fiscal year 21-22 for Atlantic Golf and Turf, as this is in the best interest of the town.
Second on that?
Second.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Right, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Agenda item number 3 is to waive the bidding process for services from Central Connecticut Lawn Services. Steve?
So historically, we've always stayed under the $10,000 threshold with them. They take care of all of the liquid applications at our small parks, our athletic fields throughout town. With the increase of the B25 products, and also at the same time of us not having the right tools to do some drill seeding and some deep core aeration, we've hired them on to take care of those as well, which puts us over the $10,000.
Okay. Any questions for Steve? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, I move to waive the town's bidding procedures and approve issuing a purchase order in the amount of not to exceed $13,000 in the fiscal year 21-22 for Central Connecticut Lawn Services of Berlin. This is in the best interest of the town.
Second on that?
Second.
Any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you, Steve.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right, thanks, Steve.
See ya.
Agenda item number 4 is a bid waiver for SLR International Stormwater Outfall Monitoring using State of Connecticut Department of Administrative Services contract. Mike Cahan is going to give you the background on this. Mike?
Mike, you're on site, better turn off your mic or turn on your mic.
Must be on mute.
Okay, how about now?
Good, we can hear you.
All right, awesome. Yeah, the Connecticut Deep put out a new stormwater management permit in 2017. Malone and McBroom, which just got recently acquired by SLR International, has helped us even before they were doing stormwater work for the town. But from 2017 on with the new permit, they prepared the stormwater management plan, that did all the stormwater management plan updates, and they've helped us in our GIS map the stormwater lines and outfalls, because we have to map everything, which we should be doing anyway, but that's a requirement of the permit. The permit also is requiring us to screen our outfalls to impaired waters. And like a lot of communities in Connecticut, we have bacterial impairments in several rivers. So what we want to do is get SLR to go out there and do the first phase of wet weather monitoring and sampling. So originally this was going to be under $10,000. However, SLR has another PO for industrial stormwater monitoring. So I have to come to the council to get approval. Since I'm doing that, I figured I might as well get approval to do 8 more outfalls. So as explained in your agenda item, originally their proposal was $92.50 for 20 outfalls and the lab analysis. They gave us a unit cost, and this is in line with the DAS contract I referenced, at $250 per outfall. if weather and time permit. So I'd like to get 28 outfalls done, and the total PO amount would be 11,250. And SL and Bologna McBroom have been doing work for the town for probably, I don't know, maybe 12 or 15 years. So they're very cost competitive, very responsive, and they know our system, which is important.
Thanks, Mike. Any questions or comments for Mike? Hearing none, go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, I move to authorize the town manager to waive the bidding requirements and issue a purchase order to SLR International for $11,250 for the state mandated stormwater outfall monitoring utilizing DAS contract 18 PSX 0153, as this is in the best interest of the town.
Thank you. Second. Okay, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
So agenda item number 5, it's a discussion about the creation of an advisory committee for the affordable housing plan. Recall last meeting, I handed out a document called Affordable Housing Plan and Process Guidebook and mentioned that Tony Capola will be here to initiate the discussion. And Maureen Giusti and Jim Mahoney have been working on this with Jennifer. So we're not asking you to approve or vote on anything. This is a discussion opportunity to hear her and then also to ask any questions, and we can decide at a future meeting how you want to move forward. Thank you. Do you need a mic, Jennifer? You do?
No, I'll talk loud enough.
I don't know.
Is that loud enough? Not quite. Okay. Okay. I know that Jim Mahoney is on too, and Jim, at some point, I think you should jump in, and Maureen is present. The three of us have been having somewhat frequent conversations about the requirement of 8-30J that the town adopt an affordable housing plan by June 1st of next year. So this is a must. Every town in the state has to adopt an affordable housing plan or amend one if they do have one in existence. It's going to have to be updated every 5 years as well. And some municipalities, some of the municipalities that our firm represents, their regional council of governments has hired a consultant that is not true of ERCOG. So you do have an outside consultant that has been hired, FHI. They're using RKG Associates to do some of the required work, as you've seen in the guidebook. I mean, the guidebook is a very important piece of information. If you've not reviewed it, you should review it. It contains the methodology that's been recommended by the Department of Housing for preparing your affordable housing plan. It contemplates a housing needs assessment as well as a land use and zoning assessment. So taking stock of different properties in town, parcels of land in town that might be suitable for multifamily affordable housing. And one of the things that's contained in the guidebook is the recommendation that you create an affordable housing committee. So this committee will not be a committee that approves the plan, and that's a very important. It's an advisory committee to really get your community invested in the plan itself, because the idea is to do the assessments as recommended, and then to develop goals and action items to reach those goals. So I know that some of the members of the council are very familiar with what the town has done in terms of development of affordable housing, and your town is a lot better off than a lot of the municipalities because you've been hovering near that 10% threshold that exempts you from the affordable housing appeals procedure for quite some time. Your town also is one of the communities that has twice received, applied for and received a moratorium. So you are in good stead, but again, this is a process that you must go through. The idea of creating, again, this committee is to gather a group of folks who are community leaders to develop a wider understanding within your community of what affordable housing is and isn't. And so educate people and develop a plan that's a good working plan for the town. But ultimately, approval of the plan is up to this legislative body. So it will come to you for approval. And ultimately, well in advance of that June 1st deadline, you'll have to hold a public hearing. The guidebook also contemplates community forums. Obviously, those community forums could be held by way of, the meetings of the committee itself. And I will share with you, because I've been looking at the issue, in terms of are most municipalities developing a committee, how are they proceeding in terms of what they're doing? And many are either have already appointed a committee. Committee size ranges from a half a dozen people to twice that number on average of what I'm seeing. And, most are meeting monthly, bi-monthly. And the charge again is to get familiar with, what affordable housing is and isn't, what affordable housing is already existing in town, obviously, and offering a perspective on behalf of the community to the consultant that they are using, because everybody's using a consultant, whether it's through, again, their council of governments or independently. So, this is part of the process. So I don't know if you have any particular concerns about it. Jim, do you want to make any comments? Maureen? I know that the consultant was actually at the last Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, because they are working on as well the update to your POCD. So FHI is working on that as well. And I didn't attend the meeting, but I saw the very comprehensive PowerPoint that they did provide. So Jim, any comments?
Yeah, I guess the couple of comments I would make. One is that
Hold on.
couple of comments that I would make. One is that, as Jennifer has laid out, the plan needs to be approved by June 1st, so we don't have a lot of time. Maureen and I met with FHI last week to talk about schedule. We've told them we want to see the plan by April. So we have, come up with a schedule for approval in April rather than waiting till May. So we're waiting for their detailed schedule. And I think the important thing about the committee question is that, given that timeline, we really need to make a decision about the committee. If we're going to set up the committee, we need to get it done so that they can start to work. At the same time, we have, with FHI, we've already, started to develop data on the housing situation in Berlin. And also with New England Geo have done a lot of mapping. So we've started the homework, but we need to get the process going. So we've charged FHI with making that the priority in the POCD / affordable housing plan process. And also, we'll coordinate with the planning and zoning, has set up a subcommittee to guide the plan of conservation and development. So they're also going to be involved in this process, because they're also going to make, with the plan of conservation and development, it's going to make land use recommendations related to housing. So it's got to be a coordinated process, and we'll probably set up joint meetings when we set up these, let's say, thematic meetings on the affordable housing and housing topic, so that it's not duplicative. And so that's a little bit of background.
Thank
you, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, well, thing to do, we'll have to figure out who's on this committee, like what are other towns doing? I mean, you got 12 people, who are they drawing from?
I will say this to you. So that's an interesting question, right? Because there's decision makers in terms of housing applications, right? So I have made the recommendation that if you're going to use, for instance, somebody, we mentioned planning and zoning. If you're going to use somebody from planning and zoning, I have recommended to use an alternate rather than somebody that would necessarily vote on a development application. I think that that's not appropriate to do that. We're drawing from commissions on aging or boards on aging, folks that work with seniors, folks that work with youth, religious leaders. There are some religious leaders, in part because they often, do work with folks in need. So they have a good sense of, in terms of the needs of the community, they really have the pulse on that. So, so community services, obviously everybody has a community services commission. Those are the most obvious, right? And we've also seen realtors, in some instances, a developer, and large employers in the community. Some towns have gone that route as well. Yeah, so that's generally what I'm seeing. And I've done quite a bit of research on it
All right,
to get a sense, to make recommendations of who should be on it.
all right, that makes sense.
North Haven is going to be I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't mean to interrupt. North Haven's going to be appointing their committee on Thursday. Their Board of Selectmen will be appointing a committee. And they have somebody from their Chamber of Commerce. They also have somebody from Quinnipiac. So, I think you need to look at, because there may be, outside of what I mentioned, there may be others that make sense, right?
Yeah, all right. Charlie?
Where does this mandate come from? Who tells us we must do this?
The legislature.
And if we submit a plan, do they have to approve it? Do we have to meet their standard?
They do not have to approve it. I've been asked that question, what's going to happen with the plan? So we know it's getting submitted to the state. We don't know what they're going to be doing with it. I think the great hope is that it will result in a change in the law. But we don't know that, because I was on a webinar. I think Maureen was on the same webinar back in November, before the plan and process guidebook came out, with some folks who were involved in its creation. And the statement was made that, this analysis may result in some towns finding that they need less than 10% affordable housing, and a neighboring community may need 15%. And where is that all going to lead? I can't tell you where it's going to take us, but again, I think there's a recognition, by virtue of the fact that there is overall a great need for affordable that's not being met, and the law's been on the books for decades. So one would hope that it leads to a change in the law that enables us to accomplish the goals that it was intended to accomplish. I think there's the recognition that the law isn't leading to obviously the intended results and that it is being abused.
What would happen, and forgive me, we all want people to have safe, affordable housing, but what would happen if we just choose not to participate in this program? What happens to the town?
I think that what you risk by not complying is the same that you risk by not complying with updating your POCD. I think it could impact money that you get from the state. I know that some years ago, I don't know if this has happened recently, but I can recall letters being sent out to municipalities. And Maureen, I don't know if you recall this as well, but there were letters sent out to municipalities that weren't compliant with the POCD law, probably a few years back, suggesting that that would be exactly what would happen, was that it could impact grant funding. So I think that that's one risk. Yes.
I had a quick question. You had mentioned that there was a PowerPoint that was presented to the planning and zoning. Is that accessible? Is that on our webpage? And if it's not, I was wondering if we can get a copy of that.
Getting put on the webpage. I just haven't had time to load it since
Okay,
the
so
last
we can
meeting.
Access that. Okay.
Yeah, it will be. It will be on the through P&Z.
No rush. I just was
Yes, we have.
curious if that was available. Thank you.
Okay. Comments, Joanne, Mike, anything? All right, so we'll, yeah, some good thoughts about who could be on the committee. We'll have to, come up with some people and, discuss it, I guess. Yeah, it's quite a big task to accomplish in a short period of time, but we can get it done. So, all right, yeah, we'll, figure out, I don't know, the number of, I don't know how many. I mean, I saw one town here, looks like they had 16 people on it. That seems a little unwieldy, but I don't know. Maybe that's all the stakeholders. What do you think, Arosh?
Well, if I may suggest, what I would do is I'll reach out to you individually or through your caucus and provide some suggestions for you to discuss and then
Yeah.
back to me and we'll try to flush out.
Yeah,
I would recommend not more than 6 or 7.
yeah,
Generally, that's better.
Right.
But, we got to come up with a number that works for the town and make sure that it's represented well with, I think you made a very good point. It's people who are passionate about this and who has knowledge about this and who can actually make contributions, not to just occupy a seat.
yeah, right. No, right. Yeah. Yeah,
So-
okay. Yeah, well, I mean, it could be town employees too, obviously, right? Or what do they want? Do they not want that or?
So with regard to that, I
Yeah.
think that, and I've done these types of committees before. For the last one I did was a senior tax freeze. And we had certain town committees, certain town employees rather, come to some of the meetings.
Okay,
The finance director was at some, the tax collector was at some, the assessor was at some, but they didn't attend all the meetings. Really, your staff should be liaisons.
okay.
As opposed to members of the committee. I don't think that that's really the intention. I think if you read that one page that's in the guidebook,
Yeah.
the suggestion is that you're getting community leaders.
Okay,
And your staff may not necessarily know, that base that your community leaders know. So, and look, I mean, if one of the cogs that I'm involved with, because of a couple of the towns that I represent, they're doing a survey right now, a housing plan survey, and having the ability to have people go and encourage people to actually respond to the survey, which is quite lengthy and quite involved, has been a real benefit, I think. So I don't know what direction, at this point, if your consultant is going to suggest that you engage in that kind of data collection, because I think it's been successful in some towns and not in others. But that could be something that's on the table. And so, you've got to, I think, be very straightforward up front. And I can provide you with a suggestion on that about what the commitment actually is before people sign off on it.
All right, so we can talk to the consultant and he or she, whoever it is, can with some suggestions, I guess.
So Jim and I have been talking to the consultant about both the survey, because he'll be putting together a survey for the plan of conservation and development, as
Okay.
well as the affordable housing plan,
All right.
and how to capture the a broad spectrum of answers and debating the two surveys, one survey, combined survey, and how to do that. And that's part of the discussion that he's going to be reporting back to us on, hopefully by next week. We're
Okay.
expecting some further feedback. This is an ongoing conversation with him as he's changing his scope and moving up that deadline to April for the affordable plan or the housing plan. I think that was all the comments. I don't know. Jim, do you have anything? Well, it's your job to ask Jim if you.
No, go ahead. No, was.
Sorry.
So we want to get that survey out there and back maybe before we pick people, is that, or no? I mean, what's the mechanics of it, just so we.
So I actually recommended just the opposite.
Okay.
I recommended that there be a couple of community forums first.
Oh, okay.
And I've seen it play out not well, having the survey done first.
Okay.
Because I think that people need to be educated at least a little bit about it.
All right.
Yeah, and I do have suggestions on distribution as well. Again, I think you can benefit from some of the stuff some of the other towns have done. So, I will continue to pass that information along
You
to
pick the most
Maureen and
successful
Jim as
town
well.
That's been good in the process and we'll.
And there are a couple that have been very successful
good.
in gathering responses
Okay.
and very thoughtful
All right.
in
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah.
So if you can guide us with that. So start with the community forum, 1, 2, 1, at least.
And I think you do need to do that because
Yeah.
people need to understand that this is an opportunity to look at your housing holistically. I've said this repeatedly. It really shouldn't just be about affordable housing. And because you have to think about the fact that one of the surveys we have out there, talks about luxury housing. If that's different in each community, what that means, right?
Mhm.
And if you have people who could afford more, buying in a step down from luxury, then that's making that housing not available to the people that would buy at that level, and it just trickles down. So there's so many aspects of this, and people have to understand, we hear so many times when we have an affordable housing application, we hear Section 8. People need to understand what Section 8 housing is, that it's about a voucher process, that people could actually get very good housing with Section 8 voucher. Just so there's so many pieces to this in terms of educating people. And we want people not to be, if you're going to use a survey, you want people not to be afraid of the survey. And if there's terminology used in the survey, you want them to understand the terminology. There's so many things to think about.
Yeah, there is, you're right, a lot of confusion with the term affordable as it applies to this, which we learned on planning and zoning, but not everyone had that opportunity to be there. So yeah, it's understandable. Yeah, we do need to educate the public. Yeah, all right, so.
The towns where the survey has been successful demographically, are they similar to Berlin?
Some, yes.
I'm just curious if they're similar to ours, or are we talking, Greenwich, West Hartford, Westbrook,
I say all the time, no two towns are the same.
Oh, absolutely.
But yes, I mean, generally speaking, yes.
Thank you.
So, all right, so it sounds like we should start with this community forum meeting at a high school, and just put it out there, kind of explain it a little bit, right? Maybe the number 1. And then if you could get us some information to see what the successful towns that are the most similar to us or pretty similar have done, right? We can maybe follow that blueprint. Why not? Right? if it
So-
works for us.
Yep.
Yeah, so we can maybe get that information, the council could look at it next time. Right, and then figure out when to do the first forum. I mean, really, it's pretty short deadline. April is
Yep.
gonna come quickly, so we gotta get going, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I know, no,
And
it's-
holidays
just the
coming.
time, the clock is.
Oh, yeah, no,
like-
I mean, it's
I mean,
October, yeah.
all of a sudden it's October.
of course. Yeah.
But I did just want to add that as background, that the affordable housing plan being something that towns are working on is not brand new. That's started several years ago with the deadline of originally mid 2022. They just moved the deadline up to June 1st, 2022. So it's a lot of towns have completed their affordable housing plan, and some of them maybe even working on their 5-year update by
Okay.
now. So there are some successful towns that have
Oh,
yeah.
Good. All right.
weathered the storm, so to speak.
Yeah. A lot of work, but thank you legislature for more work that we all didn't need, but it's okay. It's all right. We'll do it. We'll get it done. Okay, so next meeting, could we put it on and maybe get some thoughts from the successful towns and then we could think of a date for the first forum at least?
So I think you should put your committee in place first, so
Okay.
that your
all right,
committee's in
afraid You were
place.
gonna say that. but
Your
all right,
committee's in place for the forum.
for the forum, okay.
Yeah, because you want them to benefit from hearing from the speakers at the forum. And one suggestion that we make is, somebody who, in terms of speakers, I have a lot of suggestions as far as that's concerned as well. There's options out there as far as, successful case studies, if you will, from particular towns. That was a recommendation that was made to me by somebody, and I think it works very well. So it's not just somebody who sort of is an advocate for affordable, but also having a town that's had a successful project and what they went through and so on. And I mean, I know you guys have done it here, but, certainly staff can speak as well, but maybe it to an outside town as well.
Okay, well, maybe we won't get that done by the next meeting, but we'll work on the committee and, all right.
Members first, and that's not gonna happen in the next week, I don't think.
No, I was gonna say, no, all right, so that was too aggressive. I'm sorry, I tried to move it, but we'll try and work on the committee first, I guess,
First,
and
yeah.
go from there.
These people.
Okay. All right, we good? Good. All right, thanks,
Jen.
thanks, everybody,
Thank you,
thanks.
Jennifer.
Okay.
All right, moving along. Agenda item number 7 is a 824 review for the Berlin sidewalk improvements.
Sorry. there are no-
First read, 6, yeah.
They're not, I skipped, I'm sorry. Another 824 review, engineered control, 889 Farmington Avenue. This is to refer the matter to construction engineered control 889 Farmington Avenue to Planning and Zoning Commission. And I think Chris Edge, you are on the line.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take this one. This is Jim.
Okay, Jim, go for it.
So I think we've been talking for a while about, the 889 Farmington Avenue site, and our remedy for soil contamination is to put a liner to make the soil inaccessible for direct exposure. So we're working with Newport. They have to do some site improvements under the liner or below the level of the liner in order, to develop their project. So we've been coordinating with them. We think we're getting close on that. So we're going to be, working to finalize the bid package, hopefully start that construction, say in the next spring. And so we thought it was timely to bring it through the 824 process to confirm, that this is something that the town wants to do. And as you know, we do have grants to pay for this.
Okay, any questions for Jim? Yeah, we've been talking about this for a while, so. New here, we'll go ahead and get a motion on this.
Okay, I move to refer the matter of constructing an engineered control on 889 Farmington Avenue as shown on engineering drawings entitled Addendum to Approved Part 1 and 2 applications for engineered control variance dated January 24th, 2020, prepared by Loriero Engineering to the Planning and Zoning Commission for an 824 review as per the Connecticut General Statutes.
On that,
Okay.
any comments or questions on this? Hearing none, go ahead and vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Agenda item number 7, another 824 review for the Berlin sidewalk improvements. Taking this one too, Jim?
Nope,
Chris.
This one is Chris. Yes, so this is our continuation of the work we've been doing on sidewalks around town, particularly connecting neighborhoods to Farmington Avenue. This was grant monies we had received for this and essentially to fill in some gaps in our sidewalks in town. And essentially, again, sending this 824 to the Planning and Zoning Commission because some of the work is in the town's right of way.
Okay, pretty straightforward. There's no questions. We'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, I move to refer the matter of constructing sidewalks within the town's right of way as shown on the sidewalks projects Town of Berlin map to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a section 824 review as per the Connecticut General Statutes.
Second on that.
Second.
No other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 8 is the authorization for the town manager to submit a brownfield grants application to EECD, Capital Regional Council Governments, Naugatuck Valley Council Governments.
Yes, there are 3 different potential grant sources for brownfields. Again, Capital Region Council of Governments, Department of Economic and Community Development, as well as the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments. So we're looking at 3 different potential properties to get funding. One is Zero Christian Lane, which is directly across the street from what used to be Pandolf's. Currently about $100,000 in back taxes owed. We're trying to get it redeveloped as a heavy industrial parcel of land. One Main Street, which is across from the Sherwood facility where they did the condos. Also owe back taxes and see if we can get some redevelopment there. And then last would be the Conrail spur between the train station and Old Brickyard Lane. That's land, it's in the rail. We've been looking to acquire it, give some access to Berlin Steel because of the environmental, some of the pieces are missing. And again, just looking for your permission to apply for grant funding for these 3 projects through the 3 different organizations.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Any questions for Chris?
Are these pieces privately owned now?
Yes, thank you, Jim.
What did you say, Chris? Can you repeat it?
Yes, they are privately owned. 2 of the 3, Christian Lane and Main Street, have quite a bit of back taxes, and we're looking to redevelop them and hopefully, again, get development as well as taxes on them again. They keep going into tax arrears, so this is a way for us to get some of these monies to understand better what the environmental situation is for redevelopment.
I know some of these grants require the owners to match some of the money put in. Are we looking for just a straight grant, or would the owner have to try to match some of this?
Jim, I don't know if you can answer that one.
I think we're going to probably look for straight grants on these particular ones. And I would say that with respect to Conrail, all 3 of these grant programs have application deadlines that are in October. So it's coming up fast. And we may not end up applying for the Conrail spur. We already previously applied for the Christian Lane parcel, did not get funded. So, we're ready to go on that, and also with One Main Street. So it will probably end up being just the 2, but we'll probably try to organize a little bit more on the Conrail and then consider it for the next grant round.
And if I could just add one thing as well, thank you, Jim. We're currently working with 2 different private parties that are not within the chain of title right now for Christian Lane and Main Street for possible redevelopment. So the good news is we have folks we're talking to about doing some type of redevelopment. So we're not just giving a shot at it. There are parties who have shown real interest in doing something.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good news. Any other questions for Chris or Jim? Not? Go ahead and take a motion on this.
Okay, I move to authorize the town manager to apply for Brownfields program grants directly or jointly with the Connecticut Brownfields Land Bank from the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development, the Capital Regional Council of Governments, and or the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments for properties at 0 Christian Lane, 1 Main Street, and for the Conrail spur between Berlin Train Station and Old Brickyard Lane.
Second on that?
I second it.
Any other questions for Jim or Chris? If not, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Right,
Thanks.
thank you. Agenda item number 9 is authorization for the town manager to submit a recreational trails grant to Deep for Pistol Creek Trails repaving. Jim or Chris?
I'll take it. So I think the council's all aware that we have, a very popular trail system down at Pistol Creek. We had previously gotten a recreational trails grant to start the process of repaving the trails. And we've finished about a third of the work. And at that time, we constructed a handicap parking area and made a section of the trails handicapped accessible. The issue down there is that these old cart paths, they wear over time. So they need to be repaved to make them, more friendly to folks that are using them. And people, they're used for obviously walking, but also, children, ride their bicycles or skateboards or whatever. It's a good family area. And so this is an opportunity for us to apply for another grant. We think that we'll be able to do about another third of the area if we can successfully get this grant. This grant requires a 20% match. And so if we were selected, we would recommend that it be, taken from the payment in lieu of open space account, which is the account we used for the match last time.
Okay. Any questions for Jim? Okay, if not, we'll go ahead and take a motion on
Okay,
this.
move to authorize the town manager to apply for a recreational trails grant of $100,000 to improve additional areas of the Pistol Creek Trail System.
On that.
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Great, great to keep those paths and like you said, in great shape because they are very popular and used a lot. So that's great. No other comments or questions? Go ahead and vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim
Thanks.
and Chris.
At the town managers report.
Well, I don't have a whole lot today. I just have one item that I want to talk to you about, and that's Timberland Golf Course. So we have had multiple conversations, discussions about Timberland. And one thing that the commission had mentioned over the years about, additional ways in addition to bringing in revenues, ways to try and minimize our expenses. As you recall, the ordinance requires us to manage all our expenses with the revenues that we collect. So what I would like to do is, I met with the staff at Timberland today, is to go out, put an RFP to see what it would cost for a third party to manage maintenance of the golf course. This is not to say that we would go forward with it, but there's too much noise around it, thinking that when the town is doing that, it's costing us too much money. But so I like to validate that. And I met with the staff and I explained to them the reason why I'm doing it. And once we get the results back, first of all, we'll see if there are any savings to be realized. And if we do, we'll have a decision to make at that point. If we go with a third party, what that would look like. There are 2 blue collar workers currently at Timberland.
One option is, there are two ways that this could pan out. One is that if you decide to go with the third party, they would take them over with the current compensation, which is salary and benefits, or the town would find alternative opening for them. But I think it's important that we put it out to bid, get some pricing and check some references and at least to know where we stand relative to the conversations that are happening in the Golf Commission. So I want you to know that before we put it out. I have been working on an RFP with purchasing the finance director and Jerry Salvio, who is the acting director of Timberland. And you probably recall a year and a half ago, we also put out an RFP for the dining services. We didn't get anyone else, but we landed in a better place with, almost doubling the revenues, what we were getting from the dining facility. So this is just a part of good business practice, due diligence. Go out there and see if what we might get in return for this. This is just FYI, and we'll keep you informed of the process. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, as long as we, I could see how this gets out there in public now, that the town employees would be taken care of. Absolutely. I would prefer that we keep them as town employees. It'd be
Yeah.
My preference, if it even comes to pass, like you said, but I just see what the narrative will be immediately that, oh, you're gonna lay off town employees and blah, blah, blah. That's not the intent here. We certainly understand what you're saying, but when it gets out to the public, it's always different than what the facts are, but we will certainly safeguard the town jobs. I made it clear. I would hope at all costs. Exactly. So I made it. Imagine the council is hoping that's the case too. I mean, unless, there's another option and the employees wanted a different option, like you mentioned, option number 1 or 2, whatever it may be. But if they want to stay with the town, find a place for them. Yep. And that won't be difficult. If we go there, yeah, right. So I know it's not like it's, 50 people we got to find a place for. So just because I just know what gets out there and I know what will, it'll be the wrong message. But it's
So-
okay. That's one of the reasons I met with them first today and assured them that they will not lose their jobs. Yeah, good. I'm glad.
That won't
I'm glad
happen.
You did that, yeah.
If it comes to that, we would not move forward with it.
Right. Yeah, okay, good. Good. No, that's fine. Any other comments? No? Good? Okay, good. Yeah, that makes sense, Roche. Thanks. I know that has been floating around for a very long time. And it will be good to know the facts on that, right? Absolutely. And then we can make a decision or not. Just one more item, if I may. So our famous celebrity town clerk, president of the Town Clerks Association, tomorrow NBC will be here live to in front of town of Berlin to interview her about absentee voting and ballots in front of the registration box. So she was not. She wanted to. No, I'll just keep that. She was saying, too bad they called me this afternoon. I was going to get my nails done. And I said, you look fine. You look just fine. You'll do us proud. So congratulations, Kate.
Nicely done, Kate.
Yeah.
We'll try and get this done early so you could go
Our
practice.
very own celebrity right here. Yes, very good. Very nice.
It'll be fun. Yeah, of course it will. That's great.
You
I'm
do.
excited for you.
Yeah, you do great. That's great. Good for you. Good. Good. Exciting. yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right, good. I'm all set. for that.
That's it?
Thank you. Yep.
Wow, very, very brief tonight. Excellent.
We got executive session later.
Yeah.
So I wanna-
Okay, so where we at? Special committees, we already talked about the committee for the senior center, community center, so that's, I don't think anyone else has met. Council communications, what do you all have? Whatever you, in your mind, anything?
Are we gonna schedule an ordinance committee for this?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We gotta try and do that, huh? Ordinance committee, we'll have to get some dates out there, maybe to do one ordinance committee and talk about some things, soon, I guess.
So Jennifer and I, we have language ready to go. So it just,
Okay. For that one issue,
well,
I mean, we might as well talk about other stuff. I'm not saying we'll vote on other stuff, but.
yeah,
But what's the dates here?
you know what my recommendation is, right? Just pass the leash ordinance and then later figure out where you want to do the leash free area.
Yeah, I think that's probably where we're headed, right?
And also we have that Pistol Creek option we discussed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some, there's another option there, I guess we need to look at. So, yeah, what,
I mean,
next week, maybe? I don't know what's going on next week, but. What are we, thinking? Next week?
Next Thursday, let me see what's out there. Today's the 5th.
I think. Does that work for people? The
The 14th?
What do we got? Joanne, right? Peter? Self? Charlie?
6 o'clock on the 14th?
On the 14th. Open. I think so. Seems like there's something going on that night, but I can't remember. It's not on my calendar here, so but yeah, for now, if we wanna. 6 o'clock on the 14th.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Is that good for everybody for now? Yeah, Joanne?
Can you
Yeah.
make it, Jennifer?
Is that good? Well, we could talk about other stuff too.
So,
There's others.
yeah,
While we're there.
we have a draft for the flag policy.
We could look at that. Just take a look at it. Maybe we won't vote
the-
on it, but take a look at
The
it.
one I have a recommendation. I spoke with Jeff about alternative way for addressing the noise ordinance.
Oh, yeah.
Connecticut General Statute. Yeah, we have that. And then we have the leash.
Right.
I can put all three on the agenda.
Yeah, well, we can talk about it all. We'll see. We definitely can make a decision on probably the leash, with the caveat of the dog issue. There is another spot that came to light, so we do have to look
Oh,
at that.
So Mr. Mayor, I checked that place out. It's next to.
Did you look at it?
Yeah, I looked at it.
Okay.
That's what the camps, the Bucks and rec folks,
Yeah.
summer camps, that's what they use during the summer because adjacent to the Pistol Creek clubhouse, former
Ah.
clubhouse. So it connects the whole deck outdoor area. So that's what they use for their summer camps.
All right.
So
I knew it would, of course, I knew it wouldn't work out, but I just know how that
keep
goes.
trying.
We tried. Well, I don't know. They could play with the dogs over there. I'm just kidding. I guess that won't work. I do want to see it though. I'm just curious. I don't understand what that is there, but what was that? I think that was the driving range there maybe back in the
It's
day.
just another fairway.
Oh, it's another fairway? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there, there's other, what's up above there? There's space above, like behind the clubhouse on top, isn't there? Areas there?
Well, that's the
that not-
area I think you're talking about. Yeah.
Huh? This is on the side though, right?
Side above, yes, to
It
the,
goes up to the,
if you're facing the clubhouse,
Yeah.
it's to the right.
to the right. But isn't there more behind there, further back or no? Is
Further
that-
back, you sort of connect to that road where.
There's a
Middletown
small
is.
piece back there, but then there's a lot, it's all brush, basically turns and then somebody else's, I believe there's another property that's actually, if you go even further back.
Okay.
on that, But there's a small area, but it's very hilly.
All right, okay, all right, yeah, I gotta go look at that at some point, but, all right, well, yeah, just, I guess, put these things on the agenda. We'll talk about them at least, and hopefully we can get something voted on.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm surprised that athletic field thing is not already there, but, right?
Well, the draft language includes all athletic fields and.
Oh, it
everything
did.
else
Okay,
it.
in our new,
So
in our
it
new
includes
ordinance.
Every
Yeah, okay,
open space, every athletic field,
Yeah,
parks and rec, everything is spelled out in that.
okay. So that,
So,
so that does cover it.
It does cover all
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I know we had that
So,
discussion
I
on
mean,
that.
I don't know. I mean, want to talk about it. My preference would be to try and get all the other spaces passed at the same time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it might leave us into ambiguity and all kinds of things. Well, what is athletic field? What is not?
Yeah, we can't
Outside the
just vote for that
athletic field is
piece.
Okay, or it's not the athletic field, it's a parking lot. So
Yeah.
townwide might be better.
Yeah, no, we don't want to vote for one little piece
Yeah.
out of that. That's why we've avoided doing that on anything, other than the one looming issue, but, all right, well, all right, so the 14th at 6 o'clock?
Yep.
For now,
I'll get
okay,
an agenda out.
all right,
Thank you.
thanks, everybody, and, where we at? Council Communications, anything?
Good.
All good? Go to acceptance of minutes on September, we've got two meetings, two motions here.
I'll make a motion to accept the joint meeting minutes from September 16th.
Second,
Second.
any other comments or corrections or anything? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. And,
Second motion, I'll make a motion to accept the September 22nd or 21st town council meeting minutes.
second on that?
Second.
Any corrections or comments on that? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. And on to our executive session. At 8:20, make a motion.
Okay, make a motion pending litigations to Connecticut General State Statute, Section 1, 206, Part B, strategy and negotiations with respect to pending claims or pending litigation, Rio Vista.
Second on, well, inviting in a manager, right?
Town attorney,
Town
town
attorney.
manager.
And-
Okay.
Okay.
Attorney Andrus.
Chuck Andrews.
Charles. And, okay, so that's a motion second on that?
Second.
Right, so, all's in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so take just a short break to clear the room here and, go ahead with our executive session.
Jennifer.
Peter's away. He tried to dial in, but he said he's having all kinds of trouble.